All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning, I'm Sunil Verma and with me is Saira Mujtaba. The headlines. At least 60 civilians and 13 US troops killed in suicide attacks outside Kabul airport in Afghanistan. US President Joe Biden vows to complete evacuation of American citizens and others from Afghanistan despite deadly attack. New Delhi strongly condemns bomb blasts in Kabul. Evacuating Indians from Afghanistan is the top priority of the government, says External Affairs Minister at the all-party meet. India can lead the world with the strength of farmers and scientists, says Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar. India achieves unprecedented milestones as 50% of the eligible population inoculated with first dose of COVID-19 vaccine. Cumulative vaccination coverage in the country crosses 61 crore mark. Centre reviews steps taken by Kerala and Maharashtra to contain spread of COVID-19. And in cricket, England to resume their first innings against India at overnight score of 423 for 8 on day 3 of third test in Leeds. As the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination campaign at government facilities for those above 18 years is going on, we advise our young listeners to get vaccinated and also help others get vaccinated. We also advise our listeners not to lower their guard as COVID-19 remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask. Maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing. And focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news. The External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, has said that the government and the opposition parties have a similar view on Afghanistan. He said all the parties have a strong national position on Afghanistan. Speaking to the reporters after briefing the leaders of different political parties in New Delhi yesterday, Dr. Jaishankar said the friendship with Afghans matters to India.
The message which we all want to give you, all of us political parties, including the government, is that on this matter we all have a very similar view. We have a strong national position on Afghanistan. The friendship with Afghan people is something which matters to all of us. So we approach this situation very much in a spirit of, I would say, national unity.
Dr. Jaishankar said that India's strong friendship with the people of Afghanistan is reflected in more than 500 projects India is undertaking there. He said the situation in Afghanistan remains critical and India's immediate concern and task is the evacuation of its nationals from Afghanistan, and the long-term interest is friendship with the Afghans.
We have, under Operation Devi Shakti, done 6 flights. We have brought back most of the Indians, but not all of them. There are still a few out there. Definitely we will try and bring out everybody. We have also brought out some Afghan citizens who wanted to come to India at this point of time. We have tried to address many of the other issues, like by instituting an e-visa policy. Government is very, very strongly committed to ensuring the full evacuation as soon as possible.
During the meeting, the External Affairs Minister highlighted India's priorities in the current circumstances. He briefed the leaders about the evacuation of Indian nationals, the safety of diplomatic personnel, and the assistance to the Afghan nationals in distress. Talking to the media after the meeting, Senior Congress leader Mallikarjun Kharge said, "This is the entire country's problem," and he stressed the need to work together for the interests of the people and the nation. He added that during the meeting, all the parties had the same view. Dr. S. Jaishankar also spoke to the Foreign Minister of Kenya, Rachel Omamo, yesterday. They discussed the UNSC agenda, including the situation in Afghanistan.
In Afghanistan, at least 72 people, including 13 US troops, were killed, while 150 injured in twin suicide bombings and an attack by a gunman outside the Kabul airport last evening. The two blasts ripped through crowds of Afghans trying to enter the American-controlled facility where US-led evacuation effort was taking place in an attempt to flee the Taliban takeover of the war-torn country. Officials said a suicide bomb attack at the airport's Abbey Gate was followed by an assault by gunmen. Another bomb attack took place nearby at a hotel outside the airport. The Pentagon said 11 U.S. Marines and 1 Navy medic were among those who died, while 15 American service members were injured in the multiple attacks. Head of U.S. Central Command General Kenneth Frank McKenzie said the attacks would not stop the United States from evacuating Americans and others, and flights out were continuing. The Afghan affiliate of the Islamic State, ISI's Khorasan, has claimed responsibility for the attacks. The U.S. Embassy in Kabul has issued an alert asking its citizens to avoid traveling to the airport and avoid airport gates following the explosion outside the Hamid Karzai International Airport in Kabul. The French envoy too warned its citizens to leave the area urgently.
India has strongly condemned the bomb blasts in Kabul. New Delhi extended condolences to the families of the victims of the terrorist attack. It said the attacks in Kabul reinforce the need for the world to stand unitedly against terrorism and all those who provide sanctuaries to terrorists. The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres condemned the terror attack and expressed his support for the victims of the blast. French President Emmanuel Macron said that the situation in Kabul has seriously deteriorated and his country is coordinating with US allies to evacuate the maximum number of people. NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg has also condemned the attack and vowed to continue evacuations from Afghanistan. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said the United Kingdom will continue its evacuation operation from Kabul despite the attack.
U.S. President Joe Biden has vowed to complete the evacuation of American citizens and others from Afghanistan despite the deadly suicide bomb attack at the Kabul airport. He also promised to avenge the deaths, declaring to the extremists responsible that the U.S. would hunt down the attackers and make them pay. The U.S. President was speaking from the White House hours after the two blasts killed over a dozen American troops and several Afghan civilians, turning out to be the worst day of casualties for U.S. forces there in a decade. The Afghan affiliate of the Islamic State, ISI's Khorasan, has claimed responsibility for the attacks. President Biden said there was no evidence they colluded with the Taliban, who now control the country. He said he had instructed military commanders to develop plans to strike IS assets, leadership and facilities. U.S. President added that they will rescue the Americans, they will get their Afghan allies out, and the mission will go on. He said America will not be intimidated. In somber remarks, President Biden praised U.S. forces and asked for a moment of silence in honor of those killed. Meanwhile, the White House in a statement said more than 1 lakh people from Afghanistan have been evacuated since the 14th of this month, the eve of the Taliban's return to power. The announcement came as the 31st August deadline looms for the United States to withdraw its troops and for it and other Western countries to end their massive airlift.
Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar has said that India has made great achievements in the field of food grains. He said the country's farmers and scientists have so much power that if India competes in the world, the country can be number one in almost all commodities. Mr. Tomar said this while launching the National Food and Nutrition Campaign for the farmers. It was organized by the Indian Council of Agricultural Research yesterday. The minister said increasing productivity today is a matter of pride and happiness for all. He further stated that in the 75th year of independence, India is standing at such a stage where the nation has to introspect as well as consider the challenges and their solutions. President Ramnath Kovind has said the National Education Policy NEP 2020 will prove instrumental in making today's generation capable of fulfilling the needs and aspirations of the 21st century. The President was addressing the 9th convocation of the Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University in Lucknow last evening. Mr. Kovind said the new education policy has been made with an aim to make the country an education superpower and is as per the requirements and demands of the 21st century. Addressing the students, President Kovind said, education is the most effective tool for social development and personal growth. He praised Uttar Pradesh Governor and Chief Minister for including the new education policy in higher education institutes of the state. President Kovind said he was hopeful that India would be a developed nation without social inequalities by 2047 when the country celebrates the centenary of independence.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. At least 60 civilians and 13 U.S. troops killed in suicide attacks outside Kabul airport in Afghanistan. U.S. President Joe Biden vows to complete evacuation of American citizens and others from Afghanistan despite deadly attack. New Delhi strongly condemns bomb blasts in Kabul. Evacuating Indians from Afghanistan is the top priority of the government, says External Affairs Minister at the all-party meet. India can lead the world with the strength of farmers and scientists, says Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar. India achieves unprecedented milestones as 50% of the eligible population inoculated with first dose of COVID-19 vaccine. Cumulative vaccine coverage in the country crosses the 61 crore mark. Centre reviews steps taken by Kerala and Maharashtra to contain spread of COVID-19. And in cricket, England to resume first innings against India at overnight score of 423 for 8 on day 3 of third test in Leeds. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
In a significant achievement, India's COVID-19 vaccination coverage has crossed 61 crore mark. Nearly 68 lakh vaccine doses were administered yesterday. Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandaviya said India has achieved an unprecedented milestone as 50% of the eligible population is inoculated with the first dose of COVID-19 vaccine. Union Home Secretary Ajay Bhalla has reviewed the steps taken by Kerala and Maharashtra for checking the spread of COVID-19 at a meeting through video conferencing. During the meeting, the overall management of COVID-19 situation in Kerala and Maharashtra was discussed. The Union Home Secretary reviewed the efforts being made by the state governments to contain the spread of infections and observed that more efforts would be required to arrest the increase in infections. In Madhya Pradesh, over 40 lakh people were vaccinated against coronavirus during the state government's two-day mega inoculation drive that concluded yesterday. We have more from our Bhopal correspondent.
On the first day of Mahabhiyan Phase 2, more than 24 lakh people, and on the second day, more than 16 lakh 76,000 people were given vaccine dose. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan said that efforts would be made to give the first dose to 100% people by the end of September, second dose to 100% people by December 31st. He informed that there is no shortage of vaccine. Over 8,500 vaccination centers have been set up in 52 districts of the state. People participated with great enthusiasm in two-day vaccination campaign. Pooja P. Vardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
In Jammu and Kashmir, security forces arrested 2 terrorists of Hizbul Mujahideen terror outfit in Kishtwar district yesterday. AIR Jammu correspondent reports that the duo were arrested in the forest of Naidgam in Chatru area during a search operation following intelligence inputs. Police said a huge cache of arms and ammunition were also recovered from them. The 2 arrested terrorists were providing information regarding the security forces to the terrorists and were hatching conspiracy to carry out terror acts in Chatru. Investigation into the case is underway and more arrests are expected to take place in the coming days. India has been elected to the Council of Administration CAA at 27th Universal Postal Union UPU Congress in Abidjan. India with 134 votes got the highest votes in CAA elections from South Asia and Oceania region. India was also elected with 106 votes out of 156 countries to the Postal Operations Council or POC at the 27th UPU Congress in Abidjan.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will dedicate to the nation the renovated complex of Jallianwala Bagh Smarak at Amritsar in Punjab tomorrow evening through video conferencing. The Prime Minister will also inaugurate museum galleries developed at the Smarak. The event will also showcase the multiple development initiatives taken by the government to upgrade the complex. 4 museum galleries have been created at the complex through adaptive reuse of redundant and underutilized buildings. The galleries showcase the historical value of events that unfolded in Punjab during that period with the fusion of audio-visual technology, including projection mapping and 3D representation, as well as art and sculptural installations. A sound and light show has been set up to display the events that happened on the 13th of April 1919. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla will inaugurate the Parliamentary Outreach Programme for Empowerment of Panchayati Raj Institutions at Leh in the Union Territory of Ladakh today. The programme is a unique initiative to strengthen the institutions of governance and planning at the grassroots level. We have a report.
The third such program in the series, Lok Sabha Speaker Mr. Om Birla will inaugurate Outreach and Familiarization Program for the Panchayat Raj institutions in Ladakh today. Parliamentary Research and Training Institute for Democracies of Lok Sabha Secretariat is organizing the outreach program with a focus on enhancing participatory democracy through a greater awareness of the procedures and processes followed by democratic institutions functioning right from grassroots to the apex level. First two outreach programs were organized in Uttarakhand and Manipur. The third program will be on Panchayat Raj system, autonomous district councils, strengthening the decentralized democracy. Ramesh Chandra, All India Radio News, Leh.
Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will be on a 2-day visit to Tripura from today. During the visit, Ms. Sitharaman will inaugurate a slew of projects. She will also visit a COVID care centre at Gandhigram on the outskirts of Agartala to oversee the vaccination drive. During the visit, the minister is also expected to interact with women's self-help groups in Gomati district. She may also hold meetings with senior government officials and review emergency assistance projects. As part of the iconic week celebrations of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, All India Radio will broadcast from today a new series titled Azadi Ke Tarane. The program is based on patriotic songs that lifted the spirit during the freedom movement. It will be broadcast every Friday at 4:45 p.m. on 100.1 FM Gold channel in our program Parikrama. Today's program talks about the iconic song Mera Rang De Basanti Chola.
स्वाधीनता आंदोलन के दौरान भारतीय जनमानस को उत्प्रेरित कर स्वतंत्रता का अलख जगाने और मातृभूमि के प्रति सेवा, समर्पण और त्याग की ज्वाला प्रज्वलित कर देने वाले अमर गीतों पर आधारित विशेष कार्यक्रम आजादी के तराने सुनना न भूलें। FM गोल्ड 100.1 मेगाहर्ट्ज पर प्रत्येक शुक्रवार शाम 4:45 पर परिक्रमा कार्यक्रम के अंतर्गत आजादी के तराने सिर्फ आकाशवाणी पर।
Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur and Culture Minister G. Kishan Reddy will release an e-photo exhibition on making of the Constitution and virtual film poster exhibition titled Chitranjali at 75 in New Delhi today. As part of commemoration of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, the Information and Broadcasting Ministry is celebrating the week of 23rd to 29th August as the iconic week. Under this, various activities and programs are being carried out throughout the country by the various media units of Information and Broadcasting Ministry. All India Radio will broadcast Azadi Ka Safar Akashvani Ke Saath and Azadi Ke Tarane, special program on patriotic films and songs. A regional Amrit Mahotsav quiz is also being held. Azadi Ka Safar and Naye Bharat Ka Safar will be aired on DD News, while DD India will broadcast Saga of Freedom Struggle. Press Information Bureau is holding webinars on freedom struggle in various parts of the country, including Chandigarh, Ranchi, Bengaluru, Chennai, Mumbai and Raipur. Besides, informative articles are being published. The Bureau of Outreach Communication is organizing outreach programs at Ahmedabad, Bengaluru, Bhubaneswar, Chandigarh, Dehradun, Guwahati, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Pune, Patna, Raipur, Ranchi, Shillong and Jaipur. The Songs and Drama Division is organizing 100 programs across the country today. And now, let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
The year was 1942. On 8th August, during the Bombay session of the Congress, Mahatma Gandhi decided to demand complete freedom and gave a call to the British government to quit India. The very next day, all the important leaders of Congress were arrested or went underground. There were mass protests throughout the country. Most spent years in prison and out of contact with the masses. And during this time came into action the secret radio of the Congress. It was an underground radio station which operated for about 3 months during the Quit India movement.
It was the broadcasting mouthpiece of the Indian National Congress and functioned from different locations from Bombay. This very important task was executed by Usha Mehta. The veteran freedom fighter accomplished the task with the help of ham radio operators. On 27 August 1942, the secret Congress radio went on air with Dr. Usha Mehta herself broadcasting this announcement. This is the Congress radio calling on 42.34 meters from somewhere in India.
I was connected with the underground Congress radio in Bombay. Of course, what we used to say was that this is Congress radio broadcasting from somewhere in India, but really we were operating it from Bombay.
Usha Mehta's other associates for organizing the Congress radio included Vitthal Das Khakar, Chandrakant Jhaveri and Babubhai Thakkar. The technicians and the equipment were supplied by Nanak Motwani of Chicago Radio, Mumbai. Eminent personalities like Ram Manohar Lohia, Achyut Rao Patwardhan and Purushottam Tikamdas were also associated with the Congress radio.
Immediately the call was given by Mahatma Gandhi to do or die. We thought it would be better if we have a broadcasting station of our own, because a transmitter certainly is the best way of giving the news about freedom struggle to the people and reaching it to every nook and corner of the country. So we thought of organizing a secret radio station.
On this day in 1781, Hyder Ali of Mysore clashed with the forces of the British East India Company at the Battle of Pollilur. The forces under Hyder Ali endured many casualties from the British but eventually retreated to Kanchipuram. The Battle of Pollilur was fought as part of the Second Anglo-Mysore War between the English forces and the Kingdom of Mysore under Hyder Ali and his son Tipu Sultan from 1780 to 1784.
The Second Anglo-Mysore War ended with the Treaty of Mangalore, with both the parties agreeing to return the captured territories and prisoners to each other. Mysorean rockets, the first iron-cased rockets, were effectively used against the forces of the British East India Company by the Mysore army during this battle.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
And on to sports now. In cricket, England will resume their first innings against India at the overnight score of 423 for 8 on day 3 of the third test match at Headingley in Leeds today. The hosts have a massive lead of 345 runs. The match will begin at 3:30 p.m. In-form skipper Joe Root led from the front, smashing yet another 100, a splendid 121 off 165 balls. Craig Overton and Ollie Robinson were at the crease when stumps were drawn. For India, Mohammad Shami was the most successful bowler with 3 wickets, while Ravindra Jadeja and Mohammad Siraj bagged 2 wickets each and Jasprit Bumrah took 1 wicket. Earlier, the hosts resumed their innings on second day at the overnight score of 120 for no loss. On the opening day, after opting to bat first, India were bundled out for 78 in their first innings by the English pacers.
And now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. The national capital Delhi may witness partly cloudy sky. It recorded 26 degrees Celsius as the minimum temperature, while maximum will be around 36 degrees. Mumbai is predicted to have a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Minimum and maximum temperature will hover between 25 and 32 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. The minimum temperature in the city was 27 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 33 degrees. Chennai is likely to have a generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. Temperature will vary between 27 and 36 degrees Celsius. Leh may have a partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature was 11 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 29 degrees Celsius. Gilgit is likely to have a partly cloudy sky. The maximum temperature may rise up to 37 degrees it noted a lower limit of 19 degrees. Muzaffarabad is forecast to witness partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. Temperature will hover between 24 and 36 degrees Celsius. Guwahati may have a generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain or thunder showers. The minimum temperature was 27 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 34 degrees. Imphal is also likely to have a generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain. The minimum temperature was recorded as 21 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 27 degrees. Shillong may have a generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain or thunder showers. The temperature will move from a minimum of 17 to a maximum of 24 degrees Celsius. Aizawl is also predicted to have a generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain or thunder showers. The minimum temperature was 19 and the maximum will be 26 degrees Celsius. Kohima may have a generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain. The temperature will rise from a minimum of 17 degrees Celsius to a maximum of 25 degrees Celsius. Itanagar is likely to have a generally cloudy sky with heavy rain. Temperature will move from 21 degrees to 29 degrees Celsius. Gangtok may have a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Temperature will hover between 18 and 20 degrees Celsius. Agartala will have a generally cloudy sky with one or two spells of rain or thunder showers. It recorded a minimum temperature of 26 degrees and this will move up to 31 degrees as the maximum. Port Blair is expected to have a generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain. The temperature will vary between 23 and 27 degrees Celsius, and Agati is expected to have a generally cloudy sky with one or two spells of rain or thunder showers. The minimum and maximum temperatures will be between 25 and 31 degrees Celsius.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Hours after terror op warning, 72 killed in suicide bombings outside Kabul airport. Headlines The Times of India. 200 wounded, Islamic State claims responsibility, writes the paper. The Tribune quotes the External Affairs Minister as asserting at all-party meet that all Indians will be rescued. According to the government, Zydus vaccine approved for kids will be available from October, reports Hindustan Times. No plan to lower interval between 2 doses of COVID vaccines, says the government, reports the Pioneer. Government unveils liberal rules for drones may pave way for air taxis, reports the Times of India. The Supreme Court has asked the government if PM CARES funds can be used to help COVID orphans, writes the Hindu. In a significant ruling, Delhi High Court has upheld the right to be forgotten for an individual online, reports Hindustan Times. The court observed that the right to privacy includes the right to be forgotten. And finally, the Pioneer reports that Delhi is the most surveilled city in the world.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. At least 60 civilians and 13 US troops killed in suicide attacks outside Kabul airport in Afghanistan. US President Joe Biden vows to complete evacuation of American citizens and others from Afghanistan despite deadly attack. New Delhi strongly condemns bomb blasts in Kabul. Evacuating Indians from Afghanistan is the top priority of the government, says External Affairs Minister at the all-party meet. India can lead the world with the strength of farmers and scientists, says Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar. India achieves unprecedented milestones as 50% of the eligible population inoculated with first dose of COVID-19 vaccine. Cumulative vaccination coverage in the country crosses 61 crore mark. Centre reviews steps taken by Kerala and Maharashtra to contain spread of COVID-19. And in cricket, England to resume first innings against India at overnight score of 423 for 8 on day 3 of third test in Leeds. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.gov.in and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.